Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 9th of September 2019, so welcome everyone, welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD research page on our JFD Bank website. So feel free to check us out there, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. So yep guys, like I said, feel free to visit us on a daily basis, but for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. Now, last week the FTSE kind of was was a little bit unchanged. Let's put it that way. It kept on trading here below its 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. Now, for now, of course, we're going to be very careful here. On one hand, it seems that it could could push a little bit higher here, but before we could consider some higher levels, we need to see a few breaks. So initially, of course, we would like to see a push above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, but then just for that better confirmation, a push above the 7,335 zone, approximately around here, could in a way do the trick here for the buyers, and a push above this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then aim for the next potential area of resistance, which previously acted as good support, and that's around the 7,462-63 zone, approximately around there. In a way, you could actually maybe just capture these, because this is, even though if we ignore this little kind of overshoot here, so this area near the 7,476-75 zone could be a nice potential target, but as I said, only if we see a push above the 7,335 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Like I said, very interesting developments here, looking at the cash index right now and where it is trading at this moment. We are currently sitting just slightly below, or actually just around the 200 EMA here. So it's around the 7,311 zone. So it will be very interesting to see if this index could push further up, but for now, like I said, we'll wait for that confirmation break above the 7,335 before getting excited with some higher levels. In terms of the downside here, what you could do here is keep an eye on this little area of potential support near the 7,240 zone. So a nice drop below this could in a way open the path towards lower areas, and we could then target some of these other possible support zones near the maybe around the 7,131 zone, something like that, or even going further down towards the these lows that we saw here in the end of August near the 7,045 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Again, like I said, this is in terms of the downside. So for now, we're going to be very careful. For now, we're going to be just observing the price action, and like I said, we'll wait for a clear breakthrough one of these levels before we examine a further directional move. Jumping into one commodity very quickly, and that's WTI Oil. I talked about this one last week, and basically I was talking about this this tentative downside resistance line, which got broken nicely. So you can see that the commodity kind of then after it broke this downside line, it reversed to the downside, but kind of failed to close below the 55 zone, and this is where the kind of the bulls saw this is a good opportunity to step in and push this one back to the upside. Now again, with this downside line, because it was a bit of a tentative, and now it got violated, so we're going to get rid of it. But what we're going to focus here mainly on is going to be another downside resistance line, and this one's probably going to be a more important one, and this one's taken from the from around the high of let me just quickly put this one there. There we go. It's from around April time, so basically the highest point of April, and you can see that this is where the commodity is currently trading at, and it's currently balancing just bang on that line. And for now, in a way, we're going to keep on monitoring this, because in order to kind of be, let's say, on the safe side, probably what we could do here is just lift our potential breakout point here a little bit higher, and target this 57.7270 zone, this kind of this peak of last week. And if we get a nice push above this, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target areas like the 58.80, which is marked by the high of the 31st of July, or even going further up here towards this little area near the 60 zone. So the psychological 60 zone could play out nicely again. Last time it was tested here on the around July time. Excuse me. So that's why, guys, for now, of course, be very careful with this downside line, this medium-term downside line. For now, it continues to hold it, hold the price, and but we'll wait for a clear break above the 57.70 zone before kind of aiming for higher levels. In terms of the downside here, it's going to be pretty straightforward, to be honest, because we're still keeping a close eye on this 55 mark. And what else you could also keep an eye on here is this little tentative upside line here, which in a way could, if it breaks, then yep, it could in a way open the path towards lower areas. But the only thing is that this is the area that we will be comfortable with, the 55 zone. That's what we need in order to kind of aim for slightly lower areas, and one of which could be around the 53 zone. So for now, that's the game plan. We'll see how this is going to play out. AUD USD, very interesting pair, very interesting development. So last week you had a fantastic run here. It got a great boost, pushed above this tentative downside resistance line, and now it seems that it's willing to continue traveling higher. Now that said, of course, don't get me wrong, and on the shorter time frame we are quite overbought here, so in a way we could see maybe a bit of correction. So let me just get rid of this line here. So, and of course some of these arrows as well, there's too much of those. So in a way, do not exclude a possibility of seeing this one sliding back down a little bit and then curving up and pushing to the upside again. So especially if it remains above the 0.6825 zone, or in other words, it remains above this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. If it stays here, then yep, the bulls could see this as a good opportunity to push this one higher again. And one of the good possible areas of resistance could be seen near the 0.69 zone, so roughly around there. This could be that next potential good target. If the pair starts sliding below the 200 EMA here and drops, let's say, below the 0.6788 zone, this is where it could become interesting for the bears again, and we could see this one sliding lower. We're not going to drag this one too much to the downside. We're going to aim initially for the 0.6753, but then we will maybe target somewhere around here near the 0.6730 zone. So again, like I said, for now, these are the two levels that we're keeping a close eye on. If for now, looking at this, we could in a way see maybe a bit of correction here. If it continues to trade above the 200 EMA, that's good news for the bulls. We could see this one then curving up and pushing to the upside. But if it starts falling below the 0.6788, then yep, we will consider maybe a possible slide here a little bit lower. USDJPY, another interesting one, also continues to trade above one of my levels here that I talked about last week, and this level is near the 106.69. And also it coincides with the 200 EMA. So for now, as long as it remains above this, we will remain somewhat positive. The only thing is that, let me just clear this chart a little bit. The only thing is that for those who are more on the cautious side, what you could do here is maybe in a way wait until we see a clear push above the 107.18-20 zone around here, and then we could target higher areas like the 107.75, or let's say if it's today, if we see a strong push today, then could be aiming for the R3, which is around the 107.83 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Like I said, this is for those who are more on the cautious side. Keep your eyes on the 107.1820. If we get a nice push above this, then this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then target the 107.75. In terms of the downside here, if it drops below the 200 EMA, this would also place the rate below the 106.68 zone, and this is where we will aim for the 105.69 or even the 105.54-55 zone with this one right here. This could be a nice potential area of support, but as I said, for now we're going to be very careful here and just continue observing this one, because like I said, it's very close to this to moving lower, but also at the same time it could actually reverse here to the upside. As you can see, it's struggling to move below its pivot today. So that's why, guys, for now keep your eyes on these two levels that I just mentioned. Euro dollar, and also at a very tricky spot. So of course overall we're still trading below this tentative downside resistance line taken from the high of June here, and in a way, if we see a push higher, yes, for us to get comfortable with slightly higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push above the 1.1085 zone. The only thing is that still the upside would be limited due to this downside resistance line. So in a way, for those who are more looking at something more medium term, wait for a break of this downside line first, and then we will aim for further higher levels. In terms of the downside, if this starts dropping again below the 1.1024 zone, and to be honest, just for that extra confirmation, a drop below the 1.1008 could in a way do the trick here for the bears, and we could see further declines, maybe driving this one towards the 1.0975, or even below that towards these recent lows, or should I say last week's lows, near the 1.0924. So again, be very careful here, guys. Like I said, with the upside, yes, it might travel higher. The only thing is that it could get limited due to this downside resistance line. And in terms of the downside here, from short-term perspective, a drop below the 1.102425, or just for that, like I said, better confirmation, a drop below the 1.1008 could do the trick for the bears. So keep your eyes on this one. And the last pair for the session is going to be GBPCHF. Now, a very interesting pair. Of course, as you know, last week the pound rallied nicely to the upside here, and of course it broke some of its key resistance barriers, and of course it was a good barrier here near the 1.2075 area, and then it broke this other key resistance near the 1.2129 zone, and now it's currently balancing just around it. And of course for now, all this kind of, from the short-term perspective, looks still quite positive, given that it's also trading above this tentative upside support line. So in a way, even if it slides back down here and travels all the way towards this upside line, still will remain somewhat bullish still, and we'll aim for higher levels. The only thing is that if it starts breaking this upside line, then, well, this is where it could turn out to be ugly for GBPCHF again, and we could see this one drifting to the downside. So for now, what you could do and how you could play out this this current situation is basically keep an eye on this or last week's high near the 1.2204 zone. So if we get a nice push above this, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high. The next target is around the 1.2235, and I do understand it's very close, but still be very careful around here. As you can see, previously acted as a good area of support. Now it could take the role of resistance, but if this gets broken, then well, this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for the buyers, as this could increase the chances for a further move towards the 1.2370 zone, which is marked by the high of the 25th of July. In terms of the downside here, a short-term downside, of course, if we see a drop back below the 1.2075, we will aim for this upside support line again, and then we'll take it from there. See what it wants to do after. If it wants to stay above it, that's good news for the buyers. If it wants to break, well, this is where more sellers could start joining in and pushing this one further down. So for now, keep your eyes on these two levels, and let's see how this is going to play out. Just a quick mentioning also as well, guys, tomorrow there won't be any Traders Espresso. I will resume on Wednesday. We'll have the Traders Tea Time today as well, and the same story with the Tea Time. There won't be any Tea Time tomorrow, and like I said, also will be resumed on Wednesday. But again, like I said, we'll go along today with as normal, and just there won't be any videos tomorrow. Like I said, we'll come back on Wednesday. Okay, guys, I hope you found this useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to, like I said, join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, please do. We'll be happy to see you there. And that's also, as always, 13:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.